What's up, everybody? This is Eat, Sleep, Anime. We're talking about Dragon Ball Daima today, episode 1. We've watched it. We're going to review it. And if you haven't watched it, you need to go watch it. Come back to this because we're talking some spoilers up in here.
Yep.
Derek, what are your just initial thoughts of this show?
So my initial thoughts are it is definitely a different take on Dragon Ball. Like this is, of course, Akira Toriyama's last idea before he passed away, sadly. I feel like, without bearing the lead, I do feel like this is like a Metal Gear Phantom Pain moment where it takes a little bit of the story that we already know and just like tries to fit in like a new bit of story, like to wedge in between it. Whether it's needed or not, don't know. It's only one episode. I don't know how many episodes this is running for. I don't know if it's like a 12 or 24 episode season or maybe longer than that. Who knows? But again, it's just one episode. I'm not going to like insta down it or insta up it, right away. But I do feel like it is that type of thing where it's like wedging this little piece of story that we got from one of the, you can argue, the weakest saga in Dragon Ball into it. What about you?
So I looked it up. It's going to be 20 episodes in this first season. I don't know if that's going to contain the whole story or not. Don't really know because I feel like a lot of people are going to go blind into this show. I thought the way they presented the Boo saga and even like saying through all of that, I thought was a really good way to catch people up if they've never watched it. I thought it was definitely felt like Stan Lee's. It's like every comic is someone's first comic. Right. So the way they kind of like, hey, this is what's happening. These are our main characters. Like they're super powerful and everything. But it was really interesting to see the demon world, which we've gotten little hints here and there of in the past. And now it's like we're actually getting to see more of that, where the Majin come from and all of this kind of deal. So I think we're going to be getting an interesting story that's going to actually flesh out the universe of Dragon Ball Z, which Super has done with the gods and the angels and all of that. And now we're getting the demons, which I think is pretty dope.
And by the end, like, because my thoughts were like, by the end of the episode, to bury the lead here, I thought it like I agree with you. It is definitely like, we see heaven and now we're seeing a version of like hell essentially. Or like a shadow world essentially. So I do like the fact of where they're going, but initially, and again, like giving the recap of like, the important parts, of Goku was a very nice touch just to get people into it. And I think, the Boo saga was an interesting turn and I like, but at first I'm just like, do we really need to know like about Deborah? Now he was king of the demon world. That was cool to know. And there's like a whole world down there. It's not just like, it felt like in the moment watching it like on Z, it was just a throwaway line and they never touched it. And I feel like this is him going back to rectify that and play an important. But my negatives for this is it does like the villain. I forget his name.
It's King Goma.
Goma, yeah, thank you. And then of course, there's like demon Kais, I guess you could say, like with Deresu or Desesu or whatever his name is.
Dejesu. He's Supreme Kai Shin's brother.
Yeah, which is weird. Like, I didn't know that man had family. But so we're getting some interesting revelations, like how it ties in with Deborah, with Babidi, because apparently Babidi was very disliked in the demon realm.
Yeah.
And the fact that they celebrated when he got killed, and then when Majin Buu got defeated. But the only thing was like, hey, Deborah died. That's sad, but now I'm king to the throne. But I do feel like, especially like listening to his plan play out and watching him, like how the Dragon Balls work, it feels like he is he's like a carbon copy of Emperor Pilaf. From Dragon Ball, like especially the GT storyline. And then when he says, we'll turn them into kids, I'm like, this is straight from GT. Like that's how Pilaf was like, this is the only way I can defeat Goku is I turn him to a kid when he's weaker. So that kind of turned me off initially as I'm watching this. And I'm like, this feels like a very rinse and repeat and like a cookie cutter villain type thing. But then by the end, it's like, oh, everyone turns into children, like, or as young or infants. And it's like, okay, so that's going to play out for drastically, and that explains why and I like that, that's how it explains the kid aesthetic, because when we watched it, it's like they're all little. Like, how the heck, like, is this more of like, because there's like Attack on, there's spin-off shows like this, like with was it Isekai Quartet, which is like a bunch of isekai anime, but like in chibi form, and then Attack on Titan Junior High is the same
Rock
thing.
Lee show.
Yes, so I thought it was going to be more akin to that kind of, but then doing this angle explains it, and I feel like is going to, again, it's episode 1. I don't want to react too harshly to it, because because we got 19 more episodes to come out, but it does feel like this might end up working out story wise for me. So, but again, I was initially turned off at the beginning when it was just like, I've seen your type of villain before, and this storyline's already been done. So,
and I think having like the Dr. Arnisu or something like that.
Yeah, like the sister.
Yeah, which is the Supreme Kai's sister.
Right.
Again, it's like I'm hoping we're going to learn a lot more. I definitely feel like we are going to get some interesting backstory. The thing that I really want to see play out is the 1,000-year-old Namekian Neva.
Yes.
And learning that the Namekians are actually from the demon world.
Well, this is true, but thinking about it though, of course we never got definitive answers. Obviously because we got in Z, we got the answer, though they come from the planet Namek, but their origins were always a mystery. But kind of like if you paid attention, they kind of gave. Granted, I think Toriyama didn't know he was going to go this route back then, but you kind of got hints back in the Dragon Ball days with King Piccolo,
Demon King Piccolo.
Yeah.
So, but like seeing him and the power he shows to literally summon all the Dragon Balls,
right?
And
that threw me for a loop.
I was like,
because he's like, oh, the Dragon Balls have been used; they're turned to stone. He's like, that don't bother me. Because he retraces where the launch points were after they were used, and he's like, oh yeah, I can just fix this. But now it also feels like, because at this point, they saw on the rewind that this version of Shenron under Dende gives 3 wishes, and maybe it's just semantics. Maybe it's just like we're looking into it too much or word salad. But he said you get a wish, which kind of insinuates to me he only gets 1. So maybe because Neva brought the Dragon Balls, like revived them earlier than planned. Maybe because he wasn't at full strength, Shenron can only do 1 wish at this time.
Are you talking about when they like the
Goma
Z fighters?
Well, no, when Goma, like the Z fighters, like when Vegeta sacrificed himself to kill Buu, they said they used Shenron, and he said 3 wishes.
Yeah, he says when he gets summoned by Genma that you get 3 wishes.
Okay, I guess I don't know if I looked at that wrong, because I thought he said I'll grant you any wish.
Well, it's like, I don't have any, like, that's where he was like, oh, well, it's like, I want to turn them into kids. And he was just like, okay, like he's asking all the questions, but there's still 2 more wishes that we're going to be getting.
Okay. Because the way it was worded, the way that I read the text, it was worded that he only got 1 wish. And I'm like, is it because Neva fast forwarded time before like the whole year was up or whatever?
No, I think it's just because like that was to set up, the suspense for the next episode and everything.
Fair.
I did I do prefer the Z animations to Super, just because it just feels like it just has that certain like feel that I like in an anime, but I do enjoy the Z animations as well. So it was interesting seeing the Buu saga with the new animations.
Right. It was cool to see that. So
yeah, I'm glad that they just didn't pull like footage from the old stuff and just throw it in there,
like they do a lot.
Yeah, they love to do that. So I was glad to see that. But Daima, like, I think is going to be an interesting take.
Right.
And it, of course, being the last story that Akira Toriyama worked on, I think is definitely going to be kind of heart-wrenching at times, because it's like, you know, that's the last one with him.
Yeah.
So, but I have high hopes. I hope that, you know, yes, it might be GT's kind of story, but I also think we might be getting a more polished and Toriyama actually working on it instead of, you know, someone
not
else
working on GT.
Yeah, I think we're going to get a much better and cohesive story, as long as he remembers what color Trunks' hair is, you know, at this point.
Fair enough.
You know, so I'm looking forward to it, guys. Y'all let us know what you thought about Dragon Ball Daima down in the comments below. We'll be bringing you more awesome Eat Sleep anime content as we go. Make sure to hit the subscribe and go support us over on patreon.com/nerdcave to get our quarterly episodes when we do them live. This has been Zach
and Derek.
Have a blessed week. Bye-bye.